making sure that we're actually solving violent crimes in the city of Chicago. I have the ability as the mayor of the city of Chicago to promote and train 200 more detectives. And this is what is coming from the rank and file.
My colleague Mac Liederman and I took a look at that. How many detectives have actually been trained and promoted over the past year? It's kind of a somewhat complicated answer. So we heard from CPD that there are 120 new detectives over the past year. The challenge is that has not kept up with the amount of people who have retired or left the department. And in fact, we have seen a slight decrease in the number of detectives who are actually working as detectives in the department. That's according to data kept by the Inspector General. So,
What's the net? Do we know what the net number is?
between June of 2023 and April of this year, it decreased by about 25 detectives. So we're actually seeing a slight decrease. That said, the police department has hired 120 new detectives. So they have not kept pace with the attrition.
But we also have to make sure that we are reopening our mental health centers.
So what Mayor Brandon Johnson did in his 2024 budget was allocate funding to reopen 2 health clinics, mental health clinics, in existing public health department facilities. That funding is there, but they have not opened yet.
Is it okay that we have 65,000 plus people in the city of Chicago that are unhoused? And so the plan that we put forth, whether it's a real estate transfer tax, whether it's a jet fuel tax, whether it's a financial transaction tax, a head tax.
Well, none of them have come to fruition. And a lot of them have not even been talked about since the campaign. One has a lot in detail, which is the real estate transfer tax increase, also known as Bring Chicago Home, which the mayor ran on and said in his inaugural address that he was going to bring Chicago home, basically raise the real estate transfer tax on high-end properties to create a dedicated fund for anti-homelessness efforts to build permanent housing, provide services to unhoused populations. And it got beat pretty bad. It was a pretty big loss for the mayor and also for the movement that has been pushing this way before Brandon Johnson was on the full public stage here.
And we have to do that without raising property taxes.
There was no property tax increase in his 2024 budget, and the mayor promised that there would be no property tax increases all 4 years.
There is a leadership problem there, right? And I don't know these individuals personally, but I do know that city council has pushed repeatedly to get CTA leadership to come to the table and to actually have a real discussion with the people of the city of Chicago, and they've bucked that and they've refused that. Under my leadership, here's what I expect: people to be compassionate, collaborative, and competent.
Dorval Carter, I think that's the question. He remains the president of the CTA. The mayor has not yet moved to fire him. He has de facto control essentially over the CTA board. So it is kind of this big question is, will Dorval go or not go? And then will someone new be able to actually handle all of these issues? Or is it so messed up right now that anyone would be facing really strong headwinds? So there's a lot going on with the CTA, and there's a lot of pressure from activists to make a change at the top. And I think that's in large part to a lot of the great reporting that Block Club reporters, all of us, but really Manny Ramos and Mac Liederman have been doing over the past year about myriad issues with service, with cleanliness, with safety. I hope everyone read Manny's great investigation about a CTA bus driver who died on the job and wasn't found for almost an hour. And so this has kind of reached this fever pitch in recent weeks.
I'm going to be the biggest advocate for the city of Chicago. It is the city of Chicago, for crying out loud. And so this is something that is part of my economic plan as well. Attracting biotech, logistics, life sciences with the vacancy that exists downtown. I believe there's like 25% vacancy. We can also reimagine these spaces for affordable living. Wouldn't it be nice if people who serve people downtown, who are part of the rank and file infrastructure of working class people, that they can actually afford to live in the neighborhood that they work in?
In terms of attracting new businesses, filling up storefronts, what does it look like downtown 1 year later?
So downtown is one of those corridors that has really struggled to recover after the pandemic. If you walk around certain corridors, such as State Street, you'll notice that there are currently a lot of vacancies. There are some grant programs that will subsidize rent for empty storefronts that's available citywide, but there's currently not a plan for downtown specifically in regards to empty storefronts. But the mayor did move forward with a Lightfoot era initiative, which is LaSalle Street Reimagined. And that is to convert several vacant office buildings into apartments and to use TIF funding to do that, to turn them into 1,000 apartments. 300 of those will be affordable. And the whole idea is to turn the LaSalle financial district into a more vibrant, more residential neighborhood style area.
What I do not want as mayor of the city of Chicago, with poor parents and even middle class families to come with their hand in hat in hand, begging for a school. With selective enrollment, of course, I understand why people would want it, because they want the best. Right. That's what they're really asking for. The fact that they are going through a selective process, just understand what we are asking parents to do.
His tone has not changed on this at all. In fact, he has, this is the main area, I would say, in education that he's tried to move forward on. Of course, his board made some waves in December, right before winter break, when they passed this big, meaty resolution about boosting resources for neighborhood schools. And in the board's resolution, they also say that they want to rethink the city school choice system, which is, again, what Johnson is talking about. The other related thing is that the district has actually changed its funding model. That's an actual concrete change that is, again, under this umbrella of boosting neighborhood schools.
Instead of being directly tied, or at least more directly tied to the number of pupils in a school, it's a little bit more tied, or plans to be more tied to the need of the school.
You know, something he hasn't pushed forward on that he mentioned in that clip with Laura was sustainable community schools. That's something, these are schools that are kind of resourced in partnership with the union. They partner with community organizations and they provide wraparound services to students and families. And he wants to expand the number of those schools up to 200. But each of these programs costs $500,000. And you're talking about a district that that has a deep projected deficit that's only projected to get bigger with time.